My dad said I should go and become a teacher and marry a doctor. I married an accountant and I became a Feng Shui master. So yeah, very different to what he would have expected for me. A lot of the information that you see out there is not real Feng Shui at all. It's based on these oversimplified methods. It's what I would like to call Feng Shui.
Our guest today is Jane Langof, Feng Shui consultant and author of Feng Shui, A Homeowner's Guide to Abundance. She made the leap from a corporate finance career into Feng Shui, blending practical design thinking with energy flow and well-being in the home.
And I visited this psychic and she said to me, right, the corporate career is over. You need to go and study interior design. At the time, I thought, wow, this is fantastic. As soon as I opened those Feng Shui books, I knew that that was where I needed to be. So instead of it being interior design with a bit of Feng Shui on the side, it became Feng Shui practiced in a beautiful and practical way. And I knew that I could bring that design sense to my work. And in my own home, for example, I made sure that my stove was not in the killing husband section, which it could have very easily been if it had been in the place where the architect had wanted to put the stove. So I did the analysis and said it can't be there. This is the killing husband section. We need to move it out. He's still around. He's still there. My lovely husband. All good. It all worked out well in the end.
Welcome back to Beyond the Keynote podcast. I'm so privileged and so excited today to speak to a fellow Aussie, which is always lovely. From Sydney, Australia, Jane Langof, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for having me. It's a great pleasure to be here, Carmen.
Wonderful. Now, Jane is a Feng Shui master and global keynote speaker. So, Jane, when you were a little girl growing up, did you ever imagine that this would be the career that you had?
No, not at all. In fact, I guess when I was a kid, I was always told that I should become a teacher.
Okay,
and so that was
interesting.
kind of what I was expecting to be as a kid.
Yes.
And
And
I
why
never
do you think
expected to
people
be-
told you that?
Well, it was my dad who told me that. That was
Okay.
his big dream for me. He said I should go and become a teacher and marry a doctor.
And have you married a doctor?
No, I married an accountant.
Okay.
I married an accountant and I became a Feng Shui master. So yeah, very different to what he would have expected for me, but all good. It all worked out well in the end.
Very funny. And when it comes to speaking, were you the type of child that liked being up in front of other people, or were you quite shy? Tell us about you as a child.
I wasn't really shy. I wouldn't say I was shy. I looked back on some of my reports from when I was a kid, and they would say that I would assume leadership when I was with others in the classroom. And I remember getting out books and just reading them out to neighbours, hanging out the window of my bedroom, reading them out to the neighbours while they were doing things in their garden and things like that.
That's
so
cute.
yeah, I wasn't really that shy. No. But not
Okay.
but not overly extroverted either. I grew up as an only child.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, and I just really loved connecting with people, talking to people. Yeah.
So I love that you were hanging out your window reading to the neighbours, because you've now become an author as well, haven't you?
That's true. I never expected that to happen.
Yes. Do you want to show us? I think you've got a really beautiful book sitting there. My goodness,
That's
I
my
don't think I've
book.
seen a prettier front cover ever.
Yeah, that's my book. It's called Feng Shui, A Homeowner's Guide to Abundance.
And is
And
there...
it's
Keep
about
going, sorry.
helping people to create beautiful, abundant homes and achieve their goals.
Amazing. And is there anything behind the flower that you've chosen on the front, or you just like that particular flower?
Well, this is a magnolia, one of my favorite flowers. The pink is my branding color, which I've had since I first started my business back in
Oh, that's
2008.
amazing. Yes.
And so
we're
it's just-
kindred spirits there.
Yes, I know. I love your pink background.
Yes, thank you. Well, one of my core brand colours is a dusty pink colour. I think it's because in my corporate career, I worked in a very masculine industry, in the building industry, and it was very navy and dark in terms of colours. So when I left and went into my own business, I'm like, I've got to get some pink in here,
Yeah.
which has been lots of fun. So
Well, I'll tell you where my color came from.
yes.
It started from when I was a kid. Actually, I loved Barbie. And so
Okay.
that obsession with pink has never left.
I love that. Did you like the Barbie movie that came out
I did actually. It was
recently?
really cute. It
It
was
was
very
very
cute.
cool. Yeah.
But then I discovered later on that pink is actually a very harmonious color and helps people to feel calm.
Oh,
I've even read that it's been used in prisons to calm
okay.
down inmates.
Oh, wow. Oh,
Yeah.
that's really interesting. I mean, that works for what I do or what I have done in the past when I've worked with corporate leaders who needed to go from the boardroom to the stage at industry events and conferences, normally kicking and screaming because they didn't actually want to be there, but they were just so good at what they did that they were invited. So, yes, I didn't realize that I'd subconsciously chosen this beautiful pink color that calms people down. I like that.
Yeah.
There's so much that we need to tap into. I can see in your mind the knowledge that you
Yes.
have that's going to teach our audience today and myself so much about our space and what's around us and how it affects us. So I can't wait to dive into that. And also to relate it to speaking and how you've used speaking to impact others and spread your message and no doubt grow your business as well. So tell us,
Yep.
how did you get to become a Feng Shui master? Am I pronouncing that wrong? Tell me how to pronounce it properly.
So there are different ways to pronounce feng shui. So it's
Feng
feng
Shui. Okay.
shui, feng shui, feng shui, feng shui. No,
Okay.
not it's not feng shui, and not feng shui either. nothing to
Okay.
do nothing to do with shoes. And if you want an easy way to remember feng shui, another way of saying it, which is feng shui, and it sounds like fun, like it's a fun way to work with Jane.
I like that. So the correct pronunciation though is feng shui. Is that
Well, that's the
right?
way I say it. There are
That's the way you say
different
it. Okay.
those other pronunciations that I mentioned are also correct.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wonderful. All right. So you're a little girl, not extroverted, but not introverted. You're reading to your neighbours in the
Yeah.
front yard. Your dad thinks you're going to be a teacher.
Yes. Yes.
Fill the gaps in. And
Oh,
through school, did
okay.
you actually, when people said, often you get asked, what do you want to be when you grow up? Did you, other than your dad saying you should be a teacher, did you have something that you thought that you answered for yourself?
Look, I just went along with that whole teacher
Okay.
thing. Even when I was in year 10, I went to my old primary school for work experience.
Okay.
I was just
Great.
expecting that was what I was going to do, but things changed when I was in high school, especially in the last year when I was in year 12. I think year 12. I had friends of mine. I used to hang out with the nerdy girls,
Okay.
and who was great. These girls had it all figured out. They had ties with the business world through their parents, and
Okay.
I didn't growing up. Didn't have any clue what I was going to do really, besides being a teacher. But they wanted to go and do interviews with these accounting firms, these big accounting firms, and
Okay.
they said, "Look, you can get a cadetship. You go work in the city, go to uni part time. It's going to be awesome, really glamorous." And I thought, "Oh, that sounds fantastic. Yes, I want to do that." So I got on the bandwagon and I contacted the Institute of Chartered Accountants and I got the list of all of the accounting firms that were offering cadetships and I applied to all of them. So
Okay.
then that became the direction because I was very good at economics at school
Okay.
and commerce, and so I thought, well, I'll do that. The other thing was that the subjects that I chose at school, I didn't really have a clear path. Like there was no, I did biology, but I didn't do chemistry, so that I couldn't go into the sciences, and so I didn't really, yeah, I was a bit limited. So, but business and commerce was something I could have done quite easily with the subjects that I studied. So did that and I actually landed a job. So
Okay.
I worked for an accounting firm and I studied part-time and became an accountant and I did that for 15 years. So
Oh, wow.
I worked in the profession. I didn't stay with the same company for 15 years, but I worked in the profession and then I moved out into commerce. So I was a commercial accountant for a while. That was great. It really taught me how to deal in the corporate world, which are skills that are very useful for me now.
Yeah.
And then I kind of had enough of that job when I was in my early 30s and thought, right, it's time for me to get out of here. what can I do? I need a break. And I thought, oh, I'm going to go and get pregnant. So
that gives you a break, having a child.
So my husband and I planned to have our first child, got pregnant, and then I left that job and with the idea that I was going to be on a maternity break for an unknown period of time.
Okay.
And then when I had this little baby, one of my girlfriends said to me, Jane, you've got to go and see this psychic of mine. She's amazing. And I thought, oh, that sounds good. Okay. So I went along with it. I visited this psychic and she said to me, right, the corporate career is over. You need to go and study interior design. Ooh. And at the time, I thought, wow, this is fantastic, because while I was actually working in that corporate job, we had bought our own place and I'd been renovating it, and I was really interested in interior design. I would go through those books and the magazines. I absolutely loved it. So when the psychic brought that up, I thought, fantastic, I'm going to do this. So I went talk to my mum. I said, can you look after the baby? Bundled the little baby off with my mum and went to design school. So I did that for a while, but then halfway through my qualification, there was a break in the course because and then I was frustrated. I wanted to keep going, but I had to wait for 6 months to continue. So I went back to the psychic and she said, right, don't worry about that. Now you need to go and study Feng Shui and combine the two. And I thought, how smart is that, to have a niche in interior design? So
did you not finish the interior design course?
I did.
You did? Okay.
I did, yeah.
Yeah.
So during that break, I started my studies in Feng Shui. Then I went back to the interior design course and finished that off and got my qualifications there. And while I was continuing with my Feng Shui studies, I mean, the Feng Shui studies never stop; they keep going. And I've been doing this now since 2008. So as soon as I opened those Feng Shui books, I knew that was where I needed to be. So instead of it being interior design with a bit of Feng Shui on the side, it became Feng Shui practiced in a beautiful and practical way. And I knew that I could bring that design sense to my work and create really beautiful outcomes for my clients.
Wow. Well, that is an incredible story. An accountant
it was a big career
that becomes... Yes, an accountant that becomes a Feng Shui expert interior designer because she went to a psychic that her friend said, you just have to go to this psychic. I love that. And
natural career progression, Carmen.
Yes. And so they're friends that you had in high school that were like, everyone needs to go and be an accountant. Are they the same friend that said you have to go to the psychic, or are these completely different? Okay.
That was a different
Well,
friend.
you listen to your friends. So this is good. This is a good theme here.
Well, I take good advice from my friends. I don't take bad advice from them, but there was something in that. And the reason why I went to this psychic was because my father actually passed away just before I finished my HSC, and my friend's mother had died when she was young. And so this psychic tapped into her mother. And so this is why I wanted to go, because I thought, I want to hear what she's going to say about my dad. Okay. And it was really quite profound. And so that was really the catalyst.
Wow. Oh, it's amazing.
Yeah.
Well, that's incredible. Okay, so this is how we get to interior design and Feng Shui. So, and this is obviously what you speak on today. Do you remember the first time that you decided to speak in front of groups of people? And that might even be, I don't know, back at university or something like that. Do you remember the first time you had to speak up in front of a group of people?
Oh, it was probably at school. I had to speak up in front of people, and I was okay with that. But I can think back to and I did start speaking fairly quickly into my Feng Shui journey. I think I just did a couple of small gigs, but the first big one that I did was for my Feng Shui association it was probably about 2011. That was the first. Or 2010. That was the first big one that I did. And actually that psychic that I mentioned, she became my friend over time, and she came along to that presentation and she said to me, Jane, it wasn't very good.
I love your psychic friend.
Yeah, you need to go and do Toastmasters. And I
Okay.
thought, oh God, okay. I was actually quite disheartened because I thought it was pretty good.
Yes. Oh.
But she
Well,
didn't
that's
think
good
so.
though. Good to have an honest friend that can show you how you can be better.
Yeah. And then I sat on that concept of going to Toastmasters for many years, and I didn't join Toastmasters until 2018. And
Okay.
then once I joined Toastmasters, things started changing in terms of my speaking ability.
What do you think changed?
Well, I just started practicing it. I just feel like speaking is a muscle that needs to be exercised, and being in the environment where you can do that is really
Yes.
powerful. And communication is the number one skill to elevate in all aspects of your life. And so I found Toastmasters to be really valuable.
Yeah, great.
So I
Okay.
started there, and then we went from there. There was one year at Toastmasters where I thought, right, I need to really. I was sitting back a lot at the start. I was, we had this impromptu speaking session where I would be kind of not making eye contact, really scared to do it. But then I'd always feel good after I practiced, and it was like I felt like it was like going to the gym, that
Yes.
you always feel like you don't want to do it, but then after you've done it, you feel good about it. And I feel
Yes.
like something like Toastmasters, where you're practicing your speaking, is like exercise. Is like a gym for the brain, I think. Yeah, but there was
So
one year
true.
when I decided to just really lean in and do a speech at every session, which these sessions happen twice a month. So I every session I decided to do a speech, and I found that from there I really improved a lot. Like it went from the beginning of the year to the end of the year. It really improved my speaking skills, and it's something that I still work on today. I'm still practicing every time I'm on stage. I feel like I'm practicing and getting better.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah, it's something that just keeps evolving and developing.
Amazing. I love that. And yes, it's so true. It does keep evolving and developing, and it is a muscle. It's a skill that you can learn. And so the more that you're doing it and obviously reviewing and getting feedback and improving, the better you're going to be. So on that, I'd love to know, do you have a system or a way that you review your talks? Do you film them and watch them back or anything like that?
I really hate watching myself speak.
I
So
think
I
everyone
really
does.
I really struggle to do that, but I'm working with a social media manager at the moment where we're recording sort of myself speaking on camera, and I do watch that, and it's a bit of
Yes.
cringe, but it's getting easier. But I try to avoid watching myself, but I know I have to do it for the
Yes.
purposes of improving my craft. So
Yes.
I'm starting to get a little more comfortable with it, but I really need to take a few deep breaths and be in the right mindset to feel like, okay, I can do this today. I'll just try and do it in the morning when I'm feeling like I've got a lot of I don't know.
Positive energy.
Yeah,
Yes.
that's
I totally
motivation.
agree with you. So I'm a trained actor. I did a Bachelor of Performing Arts at Monash University, so a lot of theatre. And in my second year of uni, I went and studied film and television. So I did a 12-month acting for film and television course. And every single week we were up doing scenes and being filmed. And every week we had to watch the scene back and analyse it and come back with our own feedback. And it was so awful to have to watch myself on camera every week, even though I'm an actor. So I love acting, hate watching myself back. So I always say to clients, you must watch it. It is so valuable. Watch it once to get over yourself, and then watch it to actually find what you did well, because you'll find things you did well too that you didn't even realize were as good as they were.
Yes.
And what could you improve? What could you change for next time to make it even better? So
So
love that you
true.
do that.
Yeah.
And yes, you're right. Sometimes you just need to be in the right frame of mind and the right energy to be able to deal with watching yourself. All right. So
Carmen,
let's talk about
can I just ask, has it become any easier for you over time?
I think I annoy my family, because even today, when I'm watching, I do watch myself back. When I've done a keynote, for instance, even if I just film it on my phone, if I don't have a professional videographer there, I'll just at least film it on the phone. I wouldn't say it's gotten better. I know how important it is that I do it. And I sort of watch it, and my natural instinct is to pick on everything that I don't think is good. And then I'll go away. I might even go for a walk or something. I'll come back and watch it again. And then the second time I'm much more open. I don't know what it is, but it's like I've seen it already now, and now I can see it through a different light. And it's the second time where I go, oh, okay, oh, that bit was really good, or the audience responded really well there, or I'll have to keep that. Oh, that doesn't look as bad as I thought it did. So I'm not sure what it is about the second look, but the second look is far better than the first for me personally.
That's great.
Yeah,
that's great. I think that's a really good insight for the audience there.
Yes. All right, let's move on to your speaking as a business. I know that your core business is obviously Feng Shui and interior design, and speaking, though, helps to spread that message, gives you more impact, and elevates your personal brand as well. So tell us, how have you used speaking over the years, and has it evolved for you, and has it opened doors for you?
Oh, it's really opened doors. And I think the speaking has really accelerated since I wrote my book. So I think the book was the first thing that's really helped to open doors, because when you're seen as an author, you've obviously got more credibility out there. You're willing to put your views and putting yourself out there more. Yes. And you're more of an authority, I guess. So the speaking gigs tended to come more easily after I had that. And then I just started getting out there more, and then people liked what I had to say, and so I started getting invited to speak more. But at the start, it was quite funny the way I got into it. You know, I speak at a lot of expos, home shows, design shows, building expos and things like that. I wanted to speak on one of those stages, and the way I got there was through one of my friends who got a speaking gig, and she gave 3 of her friends 5 minutes within her presentation to get up and speak, which was so very kind of her. So I did that. So I wasn't on the official lineup, but I did that and I recorded it, and I used that as leverage then to get on the subsequent shows after that.
Oh, well done.
Yeah.
That's a great insight for anyone that's listening that's a bit frustrated and you're not getting the speaking gigs. Get a friend to invite you in. Wow, amazing. And so from that reel that you managed to get, how did you use that to help you get further opportunities?
So I found the organisers of the conferences, and I would reach out directly and say, I spoke at the Sydney Build Expo, and then I might have put it out on LinkedIn and shared the link to the LinkedIn post, connected with them on LinkedIn, and so made it quite obvious that I was there and really enjoyed it, and made it then easy for the organisers to pick me up, because I would give them my topic and give it to them on a platter. This is what I want to talk about.
Yes. And
so it became very easy for them to pick me up, and having the professional assets like the speaker one sheet that explains what I do and has my bio on it, has my book, that all helped.
Yes. Amazing. Okay, so that was the first stage opportunity that you remember, where your friend gave you the 5 minutes. And did you feel good up there? Did it excite you, or was it challenging? You'd done Toastmasters by then, is that right?
Oh yeah. So I was pretty comfortable being up there. It was a little bit nerve-wracking, but I was only up there for a few minutes, 7 minutes or something like that. So, but it was good. And then just got a few people recording it and used it from there. And then got I think panel discussions are actually really good to get on. So if you're friends with panelists, then you can get on those things. And now what I do is I actually get my friends who want to speak onto my panels.
Ah, lovely. You're
Yeah,
paying it back, paying it forward, paying it
absolutely.
back.
Always
Yeah.
thinking about how I can pay it forward and
Yeah,
help my friends in the industry as well to elevate their messages. Because there are so many good people out there that the
absolutely.
audiences don't know about unless they're up on stage speaking and putting themselves
Yeah.
out there. Yeah.
And you've now spoken globally, so you're
Yes,
not
I
just
have.
speaking in stages in Australia. Tell us where you've spoken around the world.
Yeah, so I've spoken in Malaysia, Singapore. This year been speaking in Singapore a couple of times. Once with a for a brand collaboration that I did with
Okay.
Castlery, a big furniture brand.
Mm-hmm.
So I was up in front of their audience talking about feng shui and how it's aligned with their beautiful furniture and all of this sort of thing. So
Yeah.
telling people about the feng shui principles in their homes. And this year I'm going to be speaking in Cambodia. So
Oh,
it's yeah, really
fantastic.
exciting. So talking
Yeah.
about and some of these conferences that I speak at globally are industry conferences within my own feng shui industry where I'm speaking to peers and
Mm-hmm.
colleagues, and we're sharing ideas and my philosophies on feng shui and where the industry is going.
Mm-hmm. Okay, wonderful.
Yeah,
And you mentioned a brand collaboration. How did
yeah.
that come about?
They just found me.
Uh-huh.
So they googled and they found me. I've done a few brand collaborations actually. So I've done one with HelloFresh
I
where we there was
saw
a
that actually. That's an interesting one.
yeah.
Tell us about
Yeah, it
that.
was really cool. That was about feng shui for your fridge,
Wow. Okay.
which is not really a thing in traditional feng shui, but it's definitely a way to get the concept out there to the masses. So I'm cool with that.
Yeah.
I was happy to,
Yeah.
and that was a lot of fun. So I worked with John Wiggle, who's the
Okay.
yeah, no, known as the hot Wiggle. So I was out there to feng shui his fridge, and then we talked about HelloFresh and how you can use HelloFresh to feng shui your fridge and organize things by type and meal.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah. So it was really cool. It was a really
Very
cool
cool.
concept. Lots of fun. So that
Yes.
involved a lot of speaking to camera.
Uh-huh. How did you find
Yeah,
that?
yeah. That was good. That was really
Yeah.
great. And
Okay.
another one that I did was for Roche Bobois, which is a big furniture brand, a
Mm-hmm.
French furniture brand, and so that involved speaking in front of the crowd, the customers of the furniture brand, and
Mm-hmm.
talking through like we went for a bit of a journey within the showroom, started in the lounge room, moved to a bedroom, and so forth, and talked about the feng shui principles there. So that was really
Mm.
great as well. And then and I love working with those sorts of brands. Even done one for a long time ago for Super A Mart and Johnson and Johnson.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
Fabulous. Well, I mean, no doubt the speaking and the posting it out on LinkedIn and that promotion, and I know that you've got a strong social media campaign as well. So all of that just really helps amplify what you're doing and amplify your personal brand to bring on opportunities like that, which is
It's so
amazing.
it's so important to leverage the opportunities to
Mm,
then be able to get more in the future. I think if you're really quiet and humble and fly under the radar,
mm,
it's not going to work in terms of
yeah.
getting that presence out there.
Exactly. So true. So I want to hear all about feng shui and our homes. Tell us
Yes.
what do you normally speak about when you're giving your talks, and what should we be thinking about in our own spaces? I'm very keen to understand this.
So I quite often my keynotes start with a bit of an explanation of what feng shui is, a bit of myth busting, and then we
Hmm.
do a room by room, and then I
Okay.
usually finish with a case study.
Mm.
Yeah,
Okay.
so
So tell us,
it's
what are the myths? What are the myths in feng shui?
yeah. Well, I'll start with a little bit of background on it. That in the 1970s, Feng Shui, a spiritual teacher, first brought Feng Shui to the Western world, and he made Feng Shui incredibly popular. And this system of Feng Shui was under the idea that every home has the same map of energy based on the location of the front door.
Oh.
But this system was completely made up and not part of the authentic Feng Shui knowledge that had been developed over thousands of years. But it became wildly popular, and it was something that was easily understandable. And so a lot of the information that you see out there in internet land, in books and in courses is not real Feng Shui at all. It's based on these oversimplified methods.
Wow.
It's what I would like to call Feng Shui.
I love that. All right, tell us about the real stuff.
Yeah, so real Feng Shui is all about energy flow, and it's not. And there are superstitions that are tied up with Feng Shui because of its origins, because of its cultural origins, and there are a lot of Chinese superstitions out there. Right. And so that's been kind of mixed up with Feng Shui, but true Feng Shui is about energy flow and gathering qi, life force energy, in a space, and having that move throughout a home in a controlled, meandering way to help people feel comfortable in their homes and to feel nurtured, to improve their well-being and create a sense of abundance. And so true Feng Shui is not based on superstition. Real Feng Shui is not a religion, although there are religious ties to it, with Taoism, Confucianism, these Chinese philosophies, and Buddhism. So there are some principles that are derived from these philosophies that are incorporated in Feng Shui, but Feng Shui itself is not a religion. So sometimes I'll have somebody saying, "Oh, I can't do Feng Shui because I'm Catholic." Well, just because you're Catholic doesn't mean you can't. I'm Catholic too. I'm Catholic too. It's not a religion. We're just managing the energy flow in your surroundings, because what Feng Shui is essentially your relationship with your environment and your surroundings, and how that impacts you on a mental, physical, and spiritual level.
Amazing.
Yeah. Wow. So we talk about the different rooms of the home. Ancient Chinese masters discovered that different patterns of energy affected the human body and mind. When people were aligned with positive energy, they experienced periods of good fortune, whereas if they were aligned with negative energy, they'd experience misfortune and obstacles. And from those guidelines came a set of systems, rules, that form the basis of where we are with Feng Shui today. But it's really become mixed up. Feng Shui has become mixed up. The industry is completely unregulated. And so I'm on a mission to share authentic Feng Shui, the Feng Shui that can really, really help people, that can help people within their own homes to create an abundant home for themselves and their families, and also have an impact on property value. So I work with commercial companies, businesses as well, where they're looking to appeal to Feng Shui conscious audiences, and property developers who want to sell to Feng Shui conscious buyers. But we're not just talking about Asian customers here, we're also talking about those who are into well-being. Yes. Because there are certain Feng Shui principles that if you get wrong when you're building or renovating, people just won't show up to the open home or won't show up to the auction. And it has a tangible impact on property value that people just don't even realize. Yeah. And so having that accounting background, it's like, well, I've got to think about how we can make Feng Shui palatable to the general public, because at the moment it's only it's a very niche, but Feng Shui really has benefits to so many, and I think the world needs more positive energy, and I'm out there to deliver it.
Amazing. I love that. Yeah. I just need you to come to my house now.
Yeah. So if we think about your house and the big wins that we can have, let's look at the front entrance. The front entrance, it's known as the gateway to wealth. So you want to make sure that your front entrance is clear of obstacles and clutter. That there's a clear and defined path to your front door. Yes. And that everything around your front entrance is welcoming. That when you open the door, that you're not greeted with mess and a bunch of shoes, that
Yes.
maybe you've got something like a beautiful artwork to draw the energy inside, or a lovely console table, something like you have in your background there, or that I
Yes,
have as
thank
well.
you.
A
Yes.
lovely artwork, possibly a plant. Yeah, so the
Okay.
idea is to have a focal point at your entrance where you can draw the energy in. We don't want to have a mirror directly opposite the entrance,
Okay.
because that reflects energy and opportunities back out again,
Ah.
symbolically. So we want to draw, and if you think about it on a practical level, if you show up to your front door and then you're greeted with a mirror, it's taking the energy away from the home itself, and you're focusing on your hair or your outfit, and you can
Yes.
really even just, it can put you off. You can think, oh, I don't I'm having bad hair day. So
True.
you can bring that energy into the space, which is not ideal. So ideally you want something really beautiful at your front entrance that helps you to feel calm and positive when you walk in. So you're bringing that beautiful energy inside your home to your family. Yeah, I
Lovely.
mean, I know
Okay.
if I walk past my kid's bedroom and it's a dump, like that makes me feel really awful, and I
Yes.
start screaming, derails me. So it's like, if we want to have a harmonious life, kids, let's just keep our rooms clean.
I'm gonna play that bit back to my two boys. Although one of them recently has had this epiphany or something, and all of a sudden he's keeping his room very neat, which is like my dream. But the other one still hasn't caught up on that, so that
Does it
door
have does
stays
it
closed.
does he have a girlfriend? The
No,
weak
he's
one?
the younger one, so I'm not sure
Okay.
what's happened. He's got a friend of his who has always had a neat room. And I think I made a comment recently on his friend. I'm like, you know that your friend's room is always just really neat and amazing. And how good does it feel? I did say, how good does it feel to be in
Yeah.
that room? And then, yeah,
It
then he decided to fix his. So I was like, that worked. That was good.
That's fantastic. Let's hope it stays that way. Because
Yes.
it's something that's a bit of a, the energy is always changing, always moving, but kids, especially teenagers, are actually, it's actually really normal for them to have messy rooms, and that's because they're going
Yeah.
in a state of flux. And so the the energy in your surroundings is a reflection of what's going on inside inside
Ah.
you. And so because kids are still growing, there's, things are scrambled in their brains. it's
Mm.
it's no it's no surprise that that teenagers' rooms are messy, and so it works both ways as well. You clear up the mess, and then you start feeling a bit calmer in some way. And so it's a bit of a circular thing where the energy within you affects your space, but the energy in your space also affects you.
Yes. So
So
interesting.
control what you can
It
is
makes
mine.
so much sense. I
Yeah.
even now, if my work desk gets a little bit messy, there's gets to a point where I'm like, I just have to tidy this up. It's like this,
Yeah.
I just have to tidy this up. And I used to be the same when I worked in corporate for 18 years. Things would pile up on my desk, and there'd be this day where I'd be like, right, I'm not doing anything for the next 30 minutes until I have cleaned this desk, because I just can't work in this. So that makes sense with what you're saying. And the other thing that's
Yeah.
interesting, I'm obsessed with making the bed. Nobody else in my house
Yes.
is.
Oh,
So
well,
so
yeah.
if I don't make the beds don't get made. Beds don't get made, except for my son
Right.
that's, turned this new leaf, which is amazing. So
Okay.
and I think it's worse because I work from home a lot now because of our amazing virtual world. I can connect with my clients over the other side of the world and anywhere in Australia. Um, so I wonder what does it do to you if you're not making your bed, for instance, and it's all messy? Is that draining your energy?
Yeah, it's making the bed is the first win for the day. It's setting the tone for success. You're completing the task. You're completing the task of sleeping by making the bed. So I think, and it takes seconds, like 30 seconds or something if you time it. So it's really not that hard to do. I'm onto my girls all the time to make their beds. But I started with my kids from when they were tiny.
Okay.
As soon as they had a toddler bed, like I had them in toddler beds. So we didn't have these big humongous beds for my kids so that they could make their own beds.
I
So
love that.
I started that discipline from as when they
Really
were
early
when they were tiny, and then they just kept that up. So
Fantastic.
yeah, we definitely make our bed, and I have not always been like this. When I was a kid, I was very messy. And,
Okay.
yeah, so I'm not. I don't feel like I've just kind of evolved into a neater person now, but I'm still not like. Yeah, things get messy in my own home, and then I have to do a cleanup. So, like, I'm a normal person, even as a feng shui master, but making the bed is a not negotiable.
Yes, good. I'm going to be passing this information on tonight to my family. What about, so two other major areas in the home are the kitchen. We spend a lot of time in the kitchen, and also the bathroom has become a really popular space. And I used to work for the Reese Group, and I was very focused on bathrooms, so have a legacy interest in that space. Are there a couple of key tips for either spaces that you would say are very helpful?
Well, my tip for the kitchen is to think about the energy that you're surrounding yourself with in terms of the food that you're storing in your kitchen. What are you storing in your fridge? What are you storing in your pantry? And is that supporting the life that you want to lead? Is it supporting your health and well-being? Because if it's not, then make it so.
Yeah.
Like get rid of I speak to my clients who want to improve their health and vitality. Well, let's get rid of all of the junky stuff, save that for when you go out, and make sure that what you've got in your home is reflective of where you want to be.
Yes.
So there's that, which is not traditional feng shui, but it's all about my feng shui lifestyle thing that I'm about, managing the energy in your surroundings from a holistic level, not just the physical layouts. And then in terms of the kitchen itself, well, it's doing things that are easy, like decluttering. When you're designing a kitchen, there are all of these principles that we follow, because every home has a map of energy that's unique to the occupants, to the orientation of the building, to the age that the building was built. And this energy map will tell me where all the positive and negative energy sectors are, and where the best energy is for harmony, health, and relationships, where the best energy is for health and wealth and all of that sort of thing. And so when I'm helping people with the design of their homes, it's about getting those main functional areas into the right spaces, as it were. So making sure that the kitchen is in the right zone, that the stove is not in a negative location from a feng shui point of view. And in my own home, for example, I made sure that my kitchen was not my stove was not in the killing husband section, which it could have very easily been if it had been in the place where the architect had wanted to put the stove. So I did the analysis, said it can't be there. This is the killing husband section. We need to move it out. So we shifted that around, and it ended up being great. He's still around.
Still alive.
He's still there. Very pleased. My lovely husband.
I can't believe that there is a killing husband section for the oven to be.
This is the literal translation. So some of these literal translations, like there's in the bedroom, for example, there's the coffin position. I don't know if you've heard of that. So
no, I haven't.
So the coffin position is where the bed is in direct alignment with the door.
Right.
That's known as the coffin position. So we don't want to have the bed there because the rush of energy is too strong. So we want to have the bed in the area that's diagonally opposite the door, but against a solid wall. So when you're laying in bed, that you've got that support of the wall behind you to give you that support and protection. You can see who's coming in, so that gives you a feeling of protection and authority. And that's a more nurturing space.
Okay.
Yeah. So if you there are all these different principles, but if you think about a room like your study, for example, your study room, being in the area of the room that is diagonally opposite the door is the area where the energy is most contained, and that's one of the wealth corners of the space.
Okay.
So in your study, if you can sit with your back towards a solid wall like you have there, where you've got a view to the door and a view out a window to nature, then that enhances your creativity, supports your authority and leadership.
Okay.
It's a really good arrangement.
Oh, I have that, so I'm very happy. I have my door
Wonderful.
over here, I have windows here, and I have a solid wall behind me, so we're good.
Yeah, so that's wonderful when you've got the space. Some people just don't have that space, but when you do have the space and the flexibility to arrange your space like that, it's gold. I mean, I see house plans where they're building these humongous homes, but they've got a study nook that's kind of under the stairs or a desk that's up against a wall. It's not an auspicious place, a salubrious place to be working. It's not going to support you as best you can. But on top of that, it's not just about if we can have the flexibility to choose a room of where to have your study room or your kitchen, as we were talking before. It's about, from a Feng Shui perspective, you can really go deep and you can put these main functional spaces into an area where the energy is really supportive. So I could find the wealth sector, for example, and have my entrance there to be activating that wealth sector, or have my study there that I'm in really good energy that enhances wealth, prosperity. So there are different things that we can look at. But for the most purposes, when I'm keynote speaking, I'm mostly talking about these changes that people can make without having this energy map to then guide them, which you need when you're working with a Feng Shui master, which can really take you to the next level.
Another level, yeah. And people can work privately with you for their own homes.
Yes.
Yeah. Amazing.
Yeah, and I love working with people who are building and renovating, because that is the best time to incorporate Feng Shui. When you've just got lines on a page, when you're just looking at a plan, like, you can really easily make changes, rather than, sometimes I get calls from real estate agents when a place has just been built and they're having trouble selling. And it's like, Jane, what can we do about this? We've got the front door facing the stairs. Are there any remedies that you can do? Like, I don't know, can you hang a crystal or something? Well, yeah, look, the crystal's not really going to help. Like, what you should have done was call me 2 years ago when you were planning this thing.
Yes.
And we could have created a really auspicious environment where all of the Feng Shui conscious people be fighting over each other to buy this place. That's where I want to take my clients.
And do you think that people that are not Feng Shui conscious, if they went to that same home that was designed in the right way, do you think it just gives them a feeling that they don't even know they're getting when they walk in? Yeah.
Absolutely, it does. Yeah. It gives them a feeling. But even when people are not into Feng Shui or really think, they say, oh, yeah, I don't believe in it, they can appreciate that it's important to a lot of people in the community. But what is there to believe? When I mentioned before that Feng Shui is about your relationship with your environment and your surroundings and how that impacts you, what's there to believe in that? And I think what they're saying is they don't believe in the associated superstitions, which I get because I don't believe in those either. Like you've got some Feng Shui so-called experts saying what you need to do to get rich is to tie a red ribbon around your bathroom pipe. Like, no, that's an example of Feng Shui.
Yeah.
So no, it's not like that. It's about creating an environment, creating a background that helps you to feel supported and positive and to do your work in a constructive and positive way.
Love that.
You have to walk the walk. It's not just about moving the pot plant or having the three-legged money frog at your front door. You have to create that supportive environment, and you need to walk the walk.
You still need to do the work. Still got to have
absolutely.
a job to earn money. Yes,
that's right. But the opportunities come more easily when you are aligned with that energetic flow.
Which makes complete sense. Well, it makes complete sense to me. Interesting question. When you're on stage, do you ever feel like some stages are set up in better ways from a Feng Shui point of view, and that it's easier when you're up there versus harder?
Absolutely. So when you're up on a stage and you've got the solid wall behind you and the door in kind of in front of you or to the side,
Yes.
and the audience is looking at you with the wall behind, that's great.
Okay.
If you have your back towards a window and there's
Yes.
traffic and there's people and there's interesting stuff going on, it's a lot harder to get the attention. Or when you've got the door behind you and there's people coming in, that's the other challenge there. So I went to a feng shui presentation once where the lady set up her sort of stage area where her back was towards the door and the window, and I just thought, this is not feng shui. This is like feng shui 101 is we're just breaking all the rules here straight away. You can't be doing this.
And do you think she was conscious of that, or
No.
no?
Zero clue. And this is where, when I mentioned that the industry is unregulated and there are people that are calling themselves experts, but they've really just read a book, which is based on these oversimplified methods. They don't know what they don't know.
Yes. And I mean, and I don't know feng shui, but I naturally have always thought that. I hate it when you walk into a space and you've got a big window behind you because people will naturally look out to whatever's happening behind you. That's natural. And you definitely hate it when there is a door behind you where people are walking in and out because it's distracting for the audience. So yes, having the solid wall behind you makes complete sense for me, and having the door where people want to walk in and out at the back of the room so that they're not disturbing anyone. Good. Now I know it's also feng shui, so that's exciting.
Yeah, that's right. It's about, because what you're feeling when you've got the door there or the windows behind you is that the energy is moving. It's not contained and it's not assembled and gathered. So you need the energy to be settled to create that environment where you can feel like you're in control.
Yes. Okay. So let's move to the future, because
Yes.
at Illuminated Story, we help thought leaders around the world elevate their keynote shows by blending in strategically placed moments of theatrical magic. How would we, so if we were going to take one of your feng shui keynotes and take it to the next level, maybe we even start with the space. What's like our magical space that you would want to deliver it in? Obviously, we'd have the solid wall behind us. Do you want to paint a picture of what you would love to have if there were no obstacles and our budget was limitless?
Oh, okay. If our budget was limitless.
Yes.
That sounds cool.
This is
well,
fun.
we'd have a room that looks really beautiful, that is harmonious with the pink vibe that I've got, has great lighting, really good and beautiful plants. I think plants and having that element of nature is really great, because when people are connected to nature, they feel that sense of calmness and well-being. So I think having plants and flowers is great if we can. A balance of yin and yang. So we don't want the surfaces to be all too hard. We need to have a mix of softness with some hard surfaces. So it could be through curtaining. We would have obviously comfortable chairs.
Yes, that would be good.
Yeah.
The audience, yes.
Yes. And I think lecterns are good.
Okay.
I think lecterns are good, or some alternative furniture where we could sort of do a live demo of some arrangements.
Yes. I think we should definitely be doing a live demo of some of your arrangements for sure.
Yeah.
Now, interesting with the lectern, I'm interested in your take on that, because I say to speakers, don't stand behind the lectern because it's a block between you and your audience. So tell me about what the lectern means from a feng shui point of view.
What I like about the lectern is that the lectern often has the branding of the the business or the company or the expo, whatever that you're speaking at. So there's a sense of, so you've got that sense of authority there.
Yes.
And what I do is I actually place my book on top of the lectern, leaning it up against the microphones. So I usually have two books. Usually there's two microphones, and I'll have two books up there, and then I stand next to it.
Yeah, okay,
so
good.
I don't stand behind the lectern, because I agree, we don't want to be blocking ourselves from the audience.
Yes.
We don't want to be hiding. So I used to hide behind the lectern a lot at the start, when I was a bit too nervous to step out. But no, I step out now, definitely. You have to step out and expose yourself, because then people start to believe you more, right?
Yes, definitely. You create that connection between you and the audience.
Yes. So I use it as a prop. I use the lectern as a prop.
I love that. Love that you're using it as a prop.
To elevate my authority.
Yes, and your beautiful books. Well, I can picture this amazing stage that you've created with the beautiful chairs for the audience and the plants and the soft and hard surfaces. And it's interesting you've said that, because if I think of a traditional theatre, we've got the hard surface on the floor and we've got the soft, beautiful velvet style curtains that fall down. And for your keynote show, I can absolutely imagine in our limitless budget that we could have amazing, stunning furniture that would be easily moved around the stage. So it'd have to be on some kind of wheels or something that we could shift it around. And how cool would it be to have some kind of scrimmage or something? It's used a lot in theatre these days, where you can completely change the scene. So we could have, the kitchen or the bathroom or the living room come in, and then you could have different pieces that are in the wings off stage that we can wheel on, and you could show the difference between the energy that's created when certain things are positioned in the wrong parts of the room versus like the killing husband zone of the cooktop. I'm never going to forget that of the oven. How cool would that be? That would be cool, and
that
it would be
so good. I'm ready. Let's make it happen.
Let's do it. We could invite certain audience members up to experience the different spaces. Yeah. Oh, this is cool.
Well, yeah, you could do it in a VR type thing, couldn't you?
Yes.
Special glasses.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that would be cool.
I know.
I've used VR with a client once who really he had to speak in front of really large audiences, which he was used to speaking in, front of 100, 150, that was fine. But this was tens of thousands. So I got VR goggles to give him that feeling of speaking in front of about 10,000 people, just so he got used to that experience before having to be in the real environment.
That's cool.
Yeah. So that was good.
Yeah.
This has been so much fun, and I have learnt so much about Feng Shui that I didn't know. And it's good to know that some of the natural instincts I have obviously are centred around some of the Feng Shui philosophies, which is interesting because, as you said, it's all about energy and energy flow. And I'll have to have a think. My entrance is... You open the front door and you can see all the way down to the very back of our backyard, which is a really, really long hallway, and then extends through a very long living room, and then out, because we've got big glass doors at the back. You can see all the way back. And I used to have pictures on both walls years ago in the entrance, but then at some stage we painted the hallway, and then I never put anything back up.
Okay, put them back up.
It's a bit plain, yeah.
Put them back up, because that is actually one of the classic Feng Shui issues, having the front door in direct alignment with the back door.
Right.
And so what do you do about that is you want to slow that energy flow down. And you do that by having things like artwork down the hallway, or by having some beautiful round pendant lights, for example. Down there, or in the entrance, having a beautiful pendant that helps to slow that energy down, or it could be a round rug, depending on your space, just to help to anchor that energy and to slow it down. Because the idea is, from Feng Shui, we don't want the energy to be moving too quickly in straight lines. We want it to be meandering through the home. Yeah. So if you put a young kid, a toddler or something at your front door, they would probably run very quickly to the back, wouldn't they?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, they would.
Whereas if you've got things that are along the hallway, depending on how much space you've got, there could be even a console table or a plant or something, just depending on how much space you have, then it slows that down. Then it's like you're looking, oh, look at this picture, look at that picture. I've got a runner rug, like it could be something like that to slow that flow down.
Ah, there you go. And one of my friends who's actually she just naturally loves design that I used to work with at the Reese Group. She came to my house once and she said, you need to put some kind of door or something that blocks off this whole big long. And I don't think she would have even known why she said that, but I'll have to tell her now that I've spoken to you that she's probably right.
She's a designer, and Feng Shui should actually be aligned with good design. Yeah, so I do actually work with a lot of designers, and our philosophies are very harmonious, you know.
Yes, they would.
So I work in as a consultant with design teams as well, on the Feng Shui side of things.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Jane, it's been such a pleasure talking to you. For all of the people listening that are dying to now get in touch with you, what's the best way for them to get in touch?
Visit my website, which is fengshuiconcepts.com.au, or I'm on Instagram sharing a lot of tips and tricks, which is my at Feng Shui Concepts, also on LinkedIn, and then you can find me at bookstores as well.
Amazing. All right. Thank you so much for being here, and look forward to you and I staying in touch.
Absolutely. Sounds great. Thanks, Carmen.
All right. Here's where you're standing. You can close this episode, think that was fun, and go back to doing things the way you've always done them. Or you can decide you're done being the speaker, the leader that people politely applaud and immediately forget. If you want to create the kind of moments we talked about today, the theatrical, the unforgettable, the profitable, I've put together something that'll change how you think about the stage forever. It's called Beyond the Keynote, Creating Your Illuminated Story. No fluff, no theory, just methodology I use with elite speakers and leaders who are done playing small. Go to illuminatedstory.com/masterclass. And hey, if this episode hit you somewhere, share it, leave a review. It takes 30 seconds and helps more people discover that great speaking isn't magic. It's a game, and you can learn to win it. I'm Carmen Sederino. Don't just speak, illuminate. See you next week.